Page 38 of 64. That's a lot of pages. Okay.
It's me.
Sliding scale for pool membership for discussion. Presentation, Commissioner Buckman, it is yours.
Don't have an official presentation. However, the fact is we have 70% under the Alice level here in Emmitsburg, and it's a community pool. So I pulled the research from the YMCA sliding scale, and I also talked to Sister Martha, who has agreed to work with us not to give out pool memberships, but to vet people so that we don't incur that extra expense. So this is exactly the sliding scale for a pool entrance into YMCA.
Extra copies?
I emailed it to you. I didn't. Do you want to make a photocopy
No,
of this?
as long as we get one at the end, it's fine.
Okay.
You got one?
In addition to that, a lot of the community members were asking if we could have also a fee for adult +1 for single parent families. And then also, well, since we have very large families, an additional cost per family member, because we have some families that have 9 children, 7 children, which doesn't fit into our pay model. So that's,
These would be for season passes only.
only season
Right.
passes.
Okay, are there any questions for Commissioner Buckman related to her document or presentation?
No.
Seems reasonable. I mean, that's my comment. It's like,
What is the current season pass rate for a family?
Season
It's 255 for.
225.
225.
2 adults and 2 children. And then we have, if you add children, it's $30.
Oh, okay.
So we already have that on.
You have that. Okay.
So for clarity's sake, it's, if we add more than 2 children, it's $30 for any child after that, or is it $30 total? Collect,
$30 for every child after that.
okay.
Okay.
How much is the daily pass for a child? $1?
It's $4 for adult.
Oh, you're talking about just to get.
For
in
daily passes. $4 for adult,
and 3 for children.
3 for children. That's for in town.
How about seniors? Seniors is
2 and above is $3.
so if they come 10 times, that's worth the $30. Yeah.
Do we have a statistical understanding of, like, a demographic of those using the pool based on senior use, child use for like day?
We don't, I believe we could get it. We don't have it handy.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you get that information, Amy?
Yeah, they, for the most part, write their age down on the paperwork. I will say, just between 5 and 7, it's half price.
Okay, 5 and 7 in the evening?
PM.
Okay. Is that every day? Okay.
oh, yeah.
I have
In,
a group that's interested in donating money for to pay for the sliding scale or whatever, or maybe what's left of it.
What
The
I
vetting is
did-
done by Seton
I'm sorry.
Center.
right. What I did was just look historically at pool revenues and pool revenue and then pool expenses. Last time that the pool was open for a full year, it looks like between memberships and admissions, we received about $19,567 in pool memberships and admissions, and we spent a total of $65,272 on expenses. So as a town, you already incurred a $45,000
Right.
loss.
And the problem is that it's a community pool and many people can't afford to go to it. And it wouldn't reduce our income. It would increase our usage and our income because we'd have more people going there. And it's a community pool. It's not, a lot of people can't afford it.
Well, there are a lot of, Matt, there are a lot of people who maybe, say, live in a nice neighborhood with 3 or 4 kids, or 40% of our middle class, it's tough go. And you have people who are working 2 jobs. They may have a house. Those people out there, it's still tight for them to get in here. They can't go. And a wonderful person in town donated $4,000 towards getting families in here. And I put a call into Sister today. I'd almost like to see how that works out. Everything's so new over at the pool, and not that's new, but there are a lot of people who are making, say, $85,000 who can't make it, can't make a pool.
Well,
I mean,
this is designed for the 70% that we have under the Alice level.
well, I know, but we also have people here working really hard, and they have 3 or 4 kids. They've done, and they're both working jobs, and it's really tough. I think I'd really like to work with that $4,000 with Sister and see where we go there, and help people out with that.
What's your hesitation to trying this?
My big thing is there are people who can't get in here who've done everything right, but
So Sister's going to give some of that money to the people in Brookfield who can't afford to get in, and she's going to give to other people?
yes. I can't penalize people in Brookfield because
I'm just saying, using that as an example.
well,
It sounds like, but here's my concern, and I feel like Brookfield or certain neighborhoods are being targeted consistently because they have expensive homes in them. And just because a person is living in a home that's expensive doesn't make them Daddy Warbucks.
Well, that's deflecting from
No, it's not
people
deflecting.
who have
It's-
free breakfast and lunch at school because they,
But you'd be surprised at who's living in these homes also who might be eligible for these things as well.
well, then they would
And-
be eligible for these things.
But you can't base it on a neighborhood. I find that very troubling because the way you're phrasing it is.
Well, he
there
brought up
no, well,
Brookfield,
but
not me.
no. But the way you phrased it a moment ago, I don't think we need to divide the town economically.
I don't.
I worry about that.
Did Commissioner Buckman actually mention the community, though?
She did,
I
yes.
didn't.
No,
I
you did. You
just-
mentioned Brookfield a moment ago. You did. You can check the record.
I was just copying what he said.
I understand, but the tone with which you're approaching that issue is concerning to me in the way you're framing it. I think it's reasonable to give this consideration, but it just seems like there's a grand assumption that if one's living in those newer neighborhoods, they are more substantial in their income than they are. And
Well, I
I've
don't
heard
believe
you.
that either.
Well, but I've heard you use that language before, and I find that concerning.
I've
but
never
speaking-
mentioned Brookfield before.
But speaking to this, I believe the term you used was exclusive. Okay, they exclude people in those neighborhoods. That was
No,
your
that's when we were
language.
talking about the sidewalks. That has nothing to do with.
Okay, but again, it's just characterizing those neighborhoods as, I mean, basically, it's elite versus non-elite, and that's the
I
message.
never said that.
No, but that's what the inference seems to be. That's, well, I'm going to disagree with you, but more to the point, I think this is worth discussion. The issue I have here, though, is there are people who aren't going to be eligible based on what's presented here because their income is higher, but they have a large household with many kids. Does that make sense to you? So right away, they're out of the picture. So I think there's value in these kind donors who Mr. Sweeney's referencing and the mayor's referencing. I think there might be value in approaching it that way.
I have a call into Sister Martha for today, just to see if she hadn't returned the call, but we're accepting families into the program, and I'm just going up South Seaton around people I know, and somebody called Terry, and we put them in, paid them at the regular fee. I just don't want to go. They're being covered for $200, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, we're going to approve something where everybody gets in on this, and
No, this wouldn't be effective till next year. Obviously, we started the
Well, let's
season
look-
already.
Let's look at maybe, I'm just, you guys
It
look
could
at it.
happen this year. I mean, we don't have to shortchange it, no pun intended. Commissioner Blanchard?
Quick question, Amy. You're back to right. What is the cost of a family membership right now?
$225.
$225. So we have a calculator, $4,000 divided by 225. I was just kind of curious, like how many? I mean, potentially families could be served by it. That's all. So
It's
4,000
divided by
divided by
225.
225. Not families, people, 17.
So it'd be 17 families.
I mean, you know, sometimes there may be only one child at $100
That's four in the
bucks, or
family.
you might get, I
That's
think we're
64
getting more than that.
Yeah.
I've been kind of curious to follow the mayor on this one, the $4,000, to see like how many families are willing to kind of come forward with this,
Right.
and then go from there. And if we have other potential donations from Commissioner Sweeney, you mentioned something. I don't know. See where we go from there before we. I don't know. Maybe they implement this first, and like you said, Commissioner Buckman, possibly implement this next year, seeing how well our pool gets used this year.
Right. It's a good point, Ms. Buckman. A very good point. Mr. Sweeney, may I ask him a question, Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir, absolutely, sir.
You have some money, somebody's sponsoring some people
The
too.
Sons have money to
Sons,
give
yeah,
back
so-
to the community. We use for the fishing derby and stuff.
Oh,
We got a lot of donations in, and we're looking, we want to put the donations back into the community
okay.
instead of trying to, keep it, because we sometimes get a large amount at one time, and instead of keeping it over the years, like we kept for the last 3 years and hadn't not been able to get any donations, we would like to get some of it back. I mentioned it
Bless
to
you.
Sister the last time I was out there about giving it to, when Commissioner Buckman had brought up the sliding scale, so she said they would take care of overseeing, the families that would need it. But, $30 for child, it's $30 for child membership per year. So maybe the whole family might not want to go, so you
That's
got,
true. That's true. Yeah.
only $30 for a whole season for a child.
Yeah. You make it
Correct.
more. Yeah.
So $30 for a whole season for a child?
Yes.
It might be parents not interested, but the
Yeah,
children
the parents,
are.
the children
Yeah.
might just want to go, so
$4,000 might go a pretty long way.
it goes, good ways.
Yeah.
Go more than 64.
Yeah.
Correct.
Most of the people who will be using will might probably be senior citizens and children,
Yeah.
correct?
That sounds right. Commissioner Buckman, do you agree, or does that jive with what your
That's
thinking
fine.
is?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm confused now. So what are we doing?
We're not doing anything yet.
I'm just
But-
throwing out some ideas, Commissioner. That's all.
For potential consideration for next year, or looking at the donations and where we would go?
We're looking, if I'm going to characterize it correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? There are two sets of donations there are two donors
Yes.
who are willing to provide substantial sums in order to subsidize pool use. I don't know if it's been decided for family memberships or individual day use, day passes, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But that's what's being given consideration in lieu of structuring it with a sliding scale fee setup. So, I mean, the basic premise is we want the most people using the pool, we want the full community having access to it. I think everyone obviously agrees on that one. But the question is, what's the means by which we can get the most folks to the pool to use it? And right now, we're dabbling with the idea of the donations from the Sons and the donations from the private source, the anonymous source.
And we're looking to see if that could help out with the fees. But who
Correct.
sets the fees again?
Our fees is
We do.
$30.
We set the
We
fee
do.
for the
So
pool.
and that's when we
As a
do the contract with the pool company.
No,
No.
we set the fee as a board separate from
That's right.
the contract for the lifeguards and the pool maintenance. So as a board,
And when do we do that?
Yeah,
I
30.
can't remember.
These fees have been set for many, many,
Yeah, we haven't
many
adjusted these
years.
fees
There
by an
hasn't
earlier
been done
board,
in a
if I
while.
Oh, I got
Oh,
you.
yeah.
okay. So we actually, that's our control point one. Our other control point is the contract piece for
So
management and maintenance.
theoretically, before next pool season, we could maybe be looking at changing the
Absolutely,
rates.
correct.
Okay.
And that's, we're talking about it now preemptively, but also maybe considering it for the summer possibly.
So with the 4,000 for 30, it would go 133 children.
I actually am mistaken. It's $30 a child if you're adding a child to a family pass which you already pay. If you're just gonna buy a season pass for a child, it's $100.
Well, it's $100.
$30 for a whole
That's
season
40.
is
40 kids, that brings it down significantly.
These are coming in
Yeah,
different.
an adult has to go with a child. They
Right.
can't.
But you can't just drop off, correct, yeah,
Yeah.
as often as it does happen.
Yeah.
I think it's
need
12.
something.
Under 12 has to have a 16-year-old with them at
Right.
least.
Yeah.
I was reading the things when I was over there.
I can't remember how old my daughter was.
Dedication, I think
She
it
could go by
was-
herself.
But it was a happy day.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Over 12, you know.
Okay, so moving forward from where we are, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Sweeney, I'm going to turn to you. I'll start with you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Briggs, what is your plan of action, your proposed plan of action
On what? The-
regarding the private donation person?
I've been working in the town and work with the St. Joe's. I'm working with a lady down at Catoctin High School. And they have another group like New Horizons down there who's identified 6 families. And then the school has identified, I think, 3 more. And I have a call into Mother Seton Center and Sister Martha. And to date, we've done, I think we've done 4 families.
Okay,
So we've done 4. There are like 10 more out there that I think they're coming in. And that, so we're going to the schools and the Seton Center and going around. And
so you're identifying candidates, is that correct?
Yes.
Like users,
Yeah.
potential users, okay? Commissioner Sweeney, turning to you, the
I
process.
have a meeting tomorrow.
Okay, so the process remains to be seen.
Yes,
Okay,
I brought
great.
it up at the meeting before, but we have our official meetings tomorrow on Tuesday.
Terrific,
So
okay.
I can bring it up there and I will get an amount and then I just need to know, we have to send it to the Seton Center or should I give it to the town?
Okay.
What did you do with the 4,000 you had donated? To give it to the Seton Center?
I gave it to the town,
You gave it to the town?
right.
Okay, then,
But-
because I need to know
but-
where to send the
but with
money to.
With the strings, I have to stay involved in it. That was the donors,
Donors caveat.
right. Because
Okay.
they've done this once before and then they weren't quite sure they got the full
The
tank
money.
of gas.
I gotcha.
So they're keeping me on the case.
Oh, okay.
But
Alright.
it's filling up pretty quick. We're probably about 10, 11 families already. If you got anybody, Ms. Buckman, if you have anybody, please call me.
A ton of people.
Huh? I know, we'll just try to, it's gonna be first come, first serve. It's just, I think I have some reservations with New Horizon. I think that's what it called there. And also, Ms. Wyville down at the school has identified a couple more people.
Good.
Yeah, that's all I know. That's what I got.
So if somebody who is aware of this meeting wants to pursue this, it's in their interest to contact the town office to follow up on this?
Give
Well, see,
Terry a call. I don't want to bog her down it. but-
Okay,
But, and then we can do all kinds of things, ship but the applications have to be made and everything. And
and also, could they also contact Seton Center? Would that be appropriate as well?
yes.
Okay. Commissioner Buckman, turning to your agenda item as such, is there anything else you want to see come forward from the discussion or from your presentation? No, okay.
We probably have outstanding, may have 7 more if they all go the full full family.
Okay.
They probably have 7 open that haven't been spoken for.
Okay,
But
great.
they are being distributed to people in need.
I would have just maybe a suggestion or
Sure.
however. If there would be a way to track your season passes, these that are being donated or handed out, or to make sure that they're being used, so that if the opportunity presents itself next year, that these free season passes aren't
point.
going to a family that's just
Doesn't-
got them
Idle.
and did not use them when a family that would use them wouldn't have the opportunity. So I don't know if there's a way, and that's just a suggestion or recommendation that you could track that.
You okay with it?
With tracking it?
Sure.
It's logical.
Okay,
That way, somebody that, you know, if I were to receive one and I didn't go, I shouldn't have the opportunity to take it away from a family that would truly use it and enjoy the pool, because that's the whole point why we did the pool, was for people to enjoy it.
They put their pass number down when they go in, so you can look and see if they used it.
Yeah,
So it's just a neutral way to,
yeah.
Right,
very good, okay, all right. And private,
yes.
most importantly. Okay, very good. Commissioner Buckman, anything else you want to add to your agenda item or comments?
No, you already asked me now.
I know, but we've added more, so I'm asking you anything
No.
else. Okay, you have the final word. Okay, so we now turn to our next item. Agenda item 5, parking ordinances for,
Taking off.
one more time?
Wasn't that taken off? Let me take one off.
We took off something from administrative business
Yeah, okay.
related to the
Lagoon.
Lagoon contract change,
Okay.
name change. So we turn to agenda item number 5, parking ordinances and policy for consideration.
Yes.
Okay, and this is for
I'd
staff.
like to skip over page 39 for just a moment. All the items, we discussed all these parking ordinances and parking policies at the April 2nd town meeting, and at that meeting, the board requested a modification to ordinance 1804. And I'll direct you to the page as soon as I find it. 1804 is on page,
You're looking for 18.
page 50. So at that meeting, at the April 2nd meeting, you as a board requested modification to repair work performed on vehicles, which would be, page 52. And at your request, we added 48-hour time frame to repair work performed on vehicles. It is unlawful to perform any repair or work of any nature on any vehicle except that of an emergency or minor nature, such as the changing of a flat tire or the replacing of a battery, while said vehicle is parked or located on any street, avenue, way, alley, town, parking lot, or any part of the public right-of-way for more than 48 consecutive hours within the municipal limits of the town of Emmitsburg. That was one change that you had requested, and then the other change would be on page 50, number 3. We added the word beyond. For private or public driveways, a person may not stop, stand, or park a vehicle partially in a private or public driveway and partially into the roadway. Vehicles must not extend beyond the property line of the driveway into the roadway. And so we made that change as requested. One other addition is on page, had them all marked, and now I can't find them. Since the town meeting, we did add one section to, and for some reason I can't find it. You remember what page that is, Maddie?
For the temporary sign.
Yes.
I thought it was page 53, I think.
53.
Yeah.
Page 53, thank you. We added a new section, section 10.12.041, temporary no parking signs. As you know, the town puts up no parking signs periodically for street sweeping, for funerals, businesses that request them for special events, moving companies, and related to the square and the sidewalk project. So we added a new section that was reviewed by John Clapp, that whenever necessary for the safety or control of vehicular or pedestrian traffic or for the regulation of the use of public parking areas, the town manager or his or her designee may direct the erection of temporary no parking signs designed to control, regulate, warn traffic, guide traffic, or limit parking on public streets, highways, or other public areas in town. Whenever official temporary no parking signs are placed in public parking areas, such signs shall be presumed to have been placed by the official act or in the direction of a lawful authority. The temporary sign shall be promptly removed once the situation, occurrence, or circumstance which gave rise to the necessity of the posting of the sign has sufficiently ended. Any person who shall deface, injure, or remove any temporary no parking signs legally posted as provided in this section without authorization from the town manager or his or her designee shall be punished by a fine not to exceed $100 per day per occurrence. According to John Clapp, many state-level misdemeanors like this traffic offense are subject to a fine up to $500, but the board can set the fine to whatever they choose. In discussions with John Clapp and town staff, we set it $100. The problem that we're seeing is there are people that are out removing no traffic or no parking signs, and work is not being able to be completed either by town staff during street sweeping, or contractors are unable to complete their work, or town staff has to spend hours trying to track down vehicles because they are parked there. We can ticket them, but we can't tow them, and the work's not getting done. So we added this section to the ordinance as well. And that outlines the changes that were made. Basically a synopsis of all the policies. Policy 1803, basically the only change is the overtime parking fine increased from $5 to $10, and the meter reservation increased from $2 to $5. Policy 18-05 basically requires at least a 24-hour notice on parking meter reservations, and a fee increase from $2 to $5 to help recuperate town costs. Policy 1803, some of the changes bring the town code up to Maryland law, which precedes town code. The changes in 1804 I already outlined, as well as some changes that brought town code up to Maryland vehicle law. And then again, policy 1805, the changes bring the town code up to Maryland vehicle law. So that outlines basically all the policies. Again, we made all the changes that were recommended by the board. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions related to the presentation? Mr. Ritz?
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, but it's getting late. Just stop looking at me, everyone. The town staff research
Oh, I was
concerning.
gonna get back to that page.
Okay,
That's separate from this.
okay. Thank you.
That's related to one business request about a parking spot, so we did a bunch of research on that. I'll get
Yes.
back to that one. That's separate from the policies and ordinances.
Okay, good. 'Cause I had some questions.
Okay.
There, related to that one request and potentially others. So
Okay. Any other questions from the board related to the items presented?
just wasted 30
None?
seconds.
Okay. So is it safe to jump back to that one now?
Can we go ahead and approve the policies and ordinances, and then we'll jump to that one,
Okay,
if possible?
sure. If the board
So
so
if you want to
chooses, yeah.
start with page 41, which is your policy 1803. Again, that's your fines and your and your sign rentals.
Okay, so before we begin, anyone have any specific concerns related to this? No? None? Okay. All right, is there a motion to accept Policy Series 2018, policy number P18-03 as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept policy series 2018, policy number P1803 as presented.
Great, thank you. All right, is there a second for Commissioner Buckman's motion?
I'll second the motion.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, it's been seconded by Commissioner Blanchard. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? The motion carries 5-0.
I will add, one thing I failed to mention is this will all take effect on August 1st of 2018 to allow time to order new tickets and to process everything and get it posted, and it gives people time to adjust to it.
Okay, so now we turn to the parking bag meter rental, is that correct?
Yep,
Okay.
page 44, policy 1805.
Okay. All right, so is there any questions related to this before we begin a motion? Okay, none? All right, so is there a motion to accept Policy Series 2018, policy number P18-05?
I'll make a motion to accept policy series 2002, policy number, is that P02002?
Oh, go one more page.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Hang on, wrong page. My fault. I make a motion to accept policy series 2018, policy number P18-05.
Very good. Is there a second for the motion made by Commissioner Blanchard?
I'll second it.
Thank you. The motion's been made by Commissioner Blanchard. It's been seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? The motion carries 5-0.
And next would be page 46, which is Ordinance 1803, and those are just language changes to bring it up to Maryland vehicle law.
Okay. Any questions related to this before we begin? None? Okay. So is there a motion to accept Ordinance Series 2018, Ordinance number 18-03?
I'll make a motion to accept ordinance number 18-03.
Very good.
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz. It's been seconded by Commissioner Sweeney. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? No, the motion carries 5-0. Okay.
Page 50 is Ordinance 1804. Again, that's where we added the word beyond and added the temporary no parking sign and the 48 hours for repair of vehicles.
Okay, any questions related to this before we move forward? Okay,
I make a motion to accept ordinance number 18-04
Second it.
as presented.
very good. The motion's been made by Commissioner Sweeney, it's seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anybody against? The motion carries 5-0.
Ordinance page 58 is Ordinance 1805, and that is just basic language changes to police officer, parking enforcement officer, and set some fines related to policy 1803. There's no changes to this one that was presented in April.
Okay, but we still need the vote for approval,
Yes.
correct? Yes, yes. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm in the right spot. 58 of 64, correct page number? Or did I skip something? I thought.
Yep,
Okay,
58 of 64.
terrific. Okay, so, any questions? No? Is there a motion to accept Ordinance Series 2018, Ordinance number 18-05?
I'll make a motion to accept ordinance series 2018, ordinance number 18-05.
Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Blanchard. It's been seconded by Commissioner Sweeney. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anybody against? The motion carries 5-0.
And finally, page 61 to 64 is Ordinance 18-06, and those are just a few minor language changes. Nothing changed from the previous meeting.
Okay. No chief of police, huh? Okay.
No.
Any questions about this one before we move forward? No? Okay. Therefore, is there a motion for Ordinance Series 2018, Ordinance number 18-06?
I make a motion to accept ordinance number 18-06 as presented.
Thank you,
I'll
sir.
second it.
And it's been seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Is there any, the motion's been made by Commissioner Sweeney and seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0. All right.
So if you want to jump back to page 39, I believe at the April 2nd meeting, town staff was asked to do some research related to one business designating a parking spot in front of their business as basically their own for several months out of the year. So town staff did research on this and contacted 55 municipalities in the state of
Oh my
Maryland.
God.
Ms. Nail put a lot of effort into her research. She talked to parking police officers, town managers, code enforcement officers, and parking enforcement officers. Of the 55 that were contacted, 35 of them do not have any kind of parking reservation policy. 19 municipalities have a parking reservation policy for a maximum of 3 days. And one municipality, which is Salisbury, which is considerably larger, allows reservations for over 3 days. As you see, just basically some of the comments that were received, that we got from other municipalities. If you want to read through those, Bel Air, their feeling is it's not fair to other merchants. If you open it up to one, then you have to open up to the rest, and then you have all your parking spots reserved by your local businesses. Brunswick, just as Emmitsburg, downtown area is already really tight if you start reserving spots. Chevy Chase, if you start controlling the public right-of-way for rent, they feel that that would then open up a can of worms. Middletown, they do not reserve spaces for specific businesses in public parking areas. And then Salisbury is the one that is the only, as I said, the only municipality that allows reservations for over 3 days, and they have to pay the meter day rate, and they can reserve the spaces for extended period of time. Just some concerns that town staff, we've just had some conversations, is how would it be enforced? How would staff know if the vehicle is patronizing that business or establishment or just in the parking spot? We'd be unable to ticket the parking because the spot's paid for. We wouldn't have anything to enforce. It is considered public parking, therefore should it be open to public, everybody in the public? And then what, again, as I mentioned, what happens if all businesses want dedicated spots? Then you've restricted pretty much all of your public parking in your downtown area. And so that's basically what staff's come up with and the research, and I thank Ms. Neal for making all those phone calls and doing all the homework on this for me. That's what we have. So then basically town needs direction from the board if this is something they want to continue to pursue, want to just discuss, or with this information, let it go.
And this is a request by a business owner, so I think you've done your research
We try.
that it wouldn't be appropriate.
Right.
Yeah, does the, Dr. Curley up in town, does she have a reserved spot?
She does.
I don't recall, I don't know.
I thought
She
I seen a
does.
sign up there with one, but
Okay.
I don't remember.
That probably, that was done, I believe, many years ago
By an earlier board, a good time ago.
by a much earlier board.
She
That-
does, but they have to put money in the meter.
Yeah, they have
Still
to
got to put money in the meter, yeah.
Okay,
put
so the
money in
sign,
there.
it's
Yeah.
not enforceable, it's just a courtesy sign.
Yeah, for patients.
I believe that was put up, but that was way before, I think, all of you.
So what does this other person want to do, just pay for the meter for the spot for 3 months?
The person wanted to not have to come down every day to pay for it.
Right.
She wanted to be able to renew it each day, but still pay that same rate.
Which you can't really reserve the spot. She could pay for it, but you can't really reserve the spot. That's basically what the research has shown, that it opens up a lot of issues, I think. That what you do for one, you have to do for
The
others.
slippery slope.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so, board, any specific direction on this one, or do we want to leave it as is?
I don't think we need to do anything.
Okay, so it looks like we're
I
leaving
think
it,
with the
sorry.
beautiful pooled parking lot that we have in back paved now, it'll be plenty of parking for people to park on.
Free off-street parking.
Yes, free
Okay.
off-street parking.
When
But
the-
it'd be nice if that was metered also. We could get more income for the town.
So off-season metering, or,
Off-season meeting, yes, off-season metering.
okay,
And that would be a good place for one of your ticket things,
I would agree.
just to try it out there at that one parking
Oh, you
spot.
mean that's an expensive machine.
But I wonder if we could lease those, that's what I wonder, you know?
Instead of having to put meters on every spot.
Right.
Just the
Don't wanna
tip.
break up that beautiful asphalt now.
No,
Negative, no, ma'am.
Hey, it's been stoned for years. It's an improvement.
Very,
yes, I
yes.
think it's wonderful.
They did a very good job. They're
Okay.
very meticulous about it.
So I think this is staying as is for the moment. Is that correct? I want to make sure I hear it from the board.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Ritz, any changes you want to take action on?
Not now.
Mr. Blanchard, no? Okay. Commissioner Buckman, I heard you say no earlier, is that correct? Okay. All right, so we press forward to setting the agenda now for our July meeting. Now, here's a question. Not as an accommodation, but given the fact that it's the July 4th week, would anyone have an interest in seeing the meeting pushed back to July 7th, which would be 1 week, the Monday following July 2nd?
I think it's the ninth.
July 9th, I'm sorry, boy. I'm going with 7 days in my mind, but not adding them with the two.
History teacher.
Yeah, really, I'm taking my shoes off to count to 20. Okay,
Personally, that
so,
would make it easier for me to attend.
so would the 9th be a reasonable date for the board? It's the second Monday in July, as opposed to the first, which is the July 4th holiday weekend.
July 7th, huh?
Friday the 13th would be better.
I'm fine.
The 9th?
9th works for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do we need a motion to change the date, or is it just a consensus? All right. Is there a motion to modify the date for the July meeting from July 2nd to July 9th?
I make a motion to make the next town meeting for July 9th.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second it.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Sweeney, seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you. So now we turn to the agenda itself. I know we have one item, potentially the Denali folks coming back for the administrative business.
Right.
Okay?
What I have for agenda items, the Frederick County Harm Reduction and Syringe Service Program presentation by the Frederick County.
Okay.
She will be here in July. I have a very brief ordinance to modify the vendor's license. It's just a language change. 3 resolutions in support of community legacy grant applications. So it'll be 3 separate resolutions because there's 3 separate grant applications. Do you want to see a parking policy related to the electric vehicle chargers?
With regard to overnight parking, or?
Regard to overnight parking, signage,
Towing and all that.
fining,
Yeah.
et cetera.
I think so.
Yes.
Everybody okay with it? All right, we have unanimity?
Okay, so it'll be parking policy related to electric vehicle chargers. And for admin business,
Introduction of your new planner.
right, I have introduction of the new town planner, Zachary Golden, which is Gulden. I'm gonna bring back the amended contract name change for Lagoon Storage for consideration. My last thing is the approval of the Town of Emmitsburg Records Retention Schedule. Once it's approved, it needs to be sent to the state of Maryland.
And what records are we retaining?
All
What's-
our records,
So we're-
agendas, minutes,
Okay.
personnel files.
So we're archiving this with the state? or-
Some items have to be archived with the state because they're
Okay.
permanent. Some can be destroyed after so many years. So basically, we set our records of retention schedule, then it's sent to the state for approval. We do not have a current records retention schedule, so we currently hold on to everything.
Yeah,
We've run
that's-
out of space.
Okay. And that's administrative business, correct? I have that in the right spot. Very good. Does anybody else have anything for either agenda or the administrative business agenda?
No. I don't.
Okay.
Thought I did. Never mind. I'm good. Sorry.
Okay. All right, moving from there. Is there a motion to accept the July 9th meeting agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept the July 9th meeting agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second for the motion?
I will second.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, seconded by Commissioner Ritz. Is there any further discussion?
I have
Hearing
one,
none. Sorry, yes, sir.
Is the botanical garden was supposed to be on the next agenda? Did he say he was gonna make a
Very
presentation?
good point, very good point.
I
Or
would
can that be
ask
the-
that in light of all the projects the town has going on, I don't know if somebody could contact him and see if August would be a better time for
I
him.
volunteer to contact him and ask if
Okay.
August would be a better time.
All right.
Yes, please.
And one other item, I forgot about this, and I apologize. A gentleman asked that I pass this out to the board. He is proposing a community market garden, and I don't know beyond that. It sounds like an interesting idea. I think it's well worth reading. I'll pass this to
I gave one.
Mayor and staff, okay. But maybe we could attach, we could look at this as just an administrative business presentation, or do we do this as an agenda item? I think we have to do this as an agenda item.
Is this to raise money for the parks or planting of trees?
No, I think this is for gardening on the Scott Road Farm at some future point.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean planting of it or something?
Correct.
Can staff review it, maybe bring it in August?
Sure, that
Because
would be
there are
fine.
considerations to that property.
Sure, of
that-
course,
To make
yes.
sure that it's possible.
Sure, understood? Okay, so for August?
August.
Okay, but you have no issues with staff having this at this time?
Oh, I'll take it.
Okay,
There is a couple fish ponds there too, isn't there?
there are.
Yeah, no, big fish and stuff in them. Be nice if they were cleared off and could be used for.
Oh, they're used, but can't quite say legally. Okay, so with that in mind, let's finish that. We were in discussion, so a call to vote. All in favor of the agenda as presented, please say aye.
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 The motion carries 5-0. Okay, is there a motion for the administrative business agenda as presented to accept it? Sorry.
I motion.
Okay, the motion is made by Commissioner Sweeney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ritz. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion carries 5-0. Any other discussion this evening?
I make a motion to adjourn the town meeting.
Okay,
I second it.
there's a second. Any further discussion? I want to congratulate my son for graduating from Catoctin High School and all of his classmates for finishing their 4 years there.
I do.
Woo-woo. Okay, and moving forward, all in favor of closing the meeting, please say aye.
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 Aye, the motion carries 5-0. Good night. The meeting closes at 11:03 PM.